Every single week, every single day, every single year, they have been preparing for this. And every inch of this country is now covered in the gasoline, the diesel of MAGA. And if this was a leftist, if it bears out that it actually was, which would surprise the hell out of me, then how much of a complete and total moron would that person be to think that they have done something good for humanity or for the left by handing MAGA the match that they need to justify coming door to door with the memory of Charlie Kirk at their backs, the force of law from the federal government, all the weapons you can eat. It's a smorgasbord of weapons on the right. How utterly, just absolutely brain dead would this leftist have to be? And I don't want to lecture the left, because it wasn't the left, it was somebody. Okay. I don't even want to lecture the left about the videos where they were celebrating, but my God, I don't think we have any choice. Like folks, have enough foresight, enough strategery, if I can steal that word from George W. Bush again. Enough strategery. Let me not say that because I might end up saying it in public for real. Enough strategic sense to realize for every action, there's an opposite equal reaction. And for you to get on social media for clicks and to do some really disgusting mockery of this young man's assassination. Well, Ben, he was a bad person. Yes, absolutely. Charlie Kirk was a bad person. Well, Pastor Ben, he used to come after black people like 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. 6, 7. Pastor Ben, he was this, he was that, he was there. Yeah, I know. I've had confrontations with Charlie Kirk on social media. I've seen the work that he does, and he did rather. I know the insidiousness of his work without a shadow of a doubt. So much so that I used to call him, no, I probably shouldn't say that, but no, honestly, his efforts were antithetical to Christ. I called him the youth pastor of the Antichrist. He was the youth ministry leader of the Antichrist. He was the recruiter for the spirit of the Antichrist. Christian nationalism is the systems level manifestation of the Antichrist, and Charlie Kirk was fulfilling his role masterfully. I know how evil Charlie Kirk was, but for anyone to think that something good would come out of killing that man in front of his wife and his kids like that, forget about strategy. I almost said strategery again. Forget about strategy. Forget about strategy. You really shouldn't ever forget about strategy, right? But I only have like 60 seconds left. No, less. Forget about strategy for a second. Just the humanity of it. What does it look? What do you look like celebrating someone being brutally assassinated like that? What do you think of yourself? Strategy is important. Morality is important, but also we should be better than that. We should be smarter than that. We should be wiser than that. And the truth is, most of us are. This is why I'm not making this a lecture to the left, because we don't even know most of those people. They don't run in my circle. They don't run in my camp. I don't know them. I don't know none of them people. None of those people who made fun of Charlie Kirk don't know not nary one of them, right? So I don't even know if they're left. And that's the quagmire. We are held responsible for the actions of what every person does, and that's the nature of living under fascism. And if we don't get some help out of this mess, They're going to keep playing that same play over and over again. Has that play ever failed Zionism? Zionism has played that same play over and over and over again. And here now we see it in the United States of America. It doesn't matter if we did something or not. We don't know who that shooter was yet. We'll find out soon enough. It doesn't matter if every leftist was perfectly behaved. They have the power of narrative. And as long as they have the power of narrative and all we're doing on the left is shouting in the wind, hello, well, then they're going to keep creating narratives to destroy us while we're still trying to figure out what's going on. Folks, that's my time. Coming up next, none other than the Angry Ginger. I'm overtime. My bad, fam. Let me get out of your way. Y'all make way for none other than the Angry Ginger, and I'll see you next time.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to patreon.com/the BPD Show and support the Benjamin Dixon Show.
What is up, everybody? It is Thursday. It feels like it's been like 2 weeks in 1 week. I am very tired. I bet you guys are too. But we're making it through the week, huh? We're getting it. So, great show from Pastor Ben there. A lot to talk about. We're going to talk about a little bit more of what potentially was missed during this week while the craziness is going on. I gave my show yesterday and did, the talking on the subject of Charlie Kirk and all that stuff. And if you're interested in checking that out, you can go check out that stream over on my channel. But today is a different day, and we've got other things to deal with, other things to talk about. And, the Trump administration does not slow down to give us a moment to talk about some of the craziest shit that has happened in this country in the past couple decades. So, it's up to us to not be tired. It's up to us to keep up with everything that's coming out and happening. And so we're going to do that. So today we're going to talk about some things that happened yesterday that were not Charlie Kirk. We're going to talk about the Senate and the Epstein files, because we're not going to stop talking about the Epstein files. And, there's a lot. There's a lot to be said about whether or not certain things happen at certain times and whether or not those things, are a distraction, contrived or not. And, I said this when we were talking about the pickleballs incident, getting beat up in D.C. and using that as a reason to, put military into our cities. I think that Donald Trump, even when it's not a planned instance, I think Donald Trump and congressional Republicans know how to use the timing that they want to in the way that they do. And I think when you have somebody like Charlie Kirk get taken out in the way he did, and you have a group of Republicans that are voting to block the Epstein files at the same time, that may not have been contrived, that may not have been a plan, but I'm going to tell you this right now, Donald J. Trump is happy to take advantage of it. Happy, no matter what the fuck he tweets, he don't care about Charlie Kirk. So today I want to talk a little bit about that. We need to get back on subject. We cannot let ourselves be distracted and forget about the real work that we have to do in this environment. So let's talk about the Senate Republicans. because something happened yesterday, and you guys should all know about it. Let's see here. Share the screen. There we go. I'm an old man. I can do it. I'm a tired old man this week. I am a tired old man this week. Let's add that to the stage. Okay. So what we got here is we have Senate Republicans barely defeat effort by Democrats to force release of Epstein files. This was yesterday. Yesterday at the same time, folks. In a close vote, Senate Republicans defeated an effort Wednesday by Democrats to insert language into Congress's annual defense authorization bill that would have forced the public release of case files on the sex trafficking investigation into the late Jeffrey Epstein. So, in other words, what they're saying was, Chuck Schumer did something. Guys, Chuck Schumer did something. Can we give a round of applause to Chuck Schumer? Oh, he tried to do something. He didn't actually do something, but he did try. You know, it was a solid effort. It was a solid effort on Chucky's part. Good job, Chuck. It was a solid effort. The Senate voted 51-49 to dismiss the charges to the bill, or changes to the bill, with Republican Senators Josh Hawley of Missouri and Rand Paul of Kentucky joining with all Democrats in opposition. So, we want these files released in their totality, right? Every one of you has now seen that the birthday card was real. Donald Trump said it wasn't. Then Donald Trump said his signature wasn't. And then people proved that his signature was. And there's a reason that a guy like Donald Trump continues to lie about something, and that is because he is afraid of what was in those files, or what is in those files. I say was because I'm concerned. And we'll get to that in a moment. For months, Democrats have clamored for the release of what's become known as the Epstein files, looking for practically every opportunity to force Republicans to either join their push for disclosure or publicly oppose a cause that many in the Republican base support. President Donald Trump signaled as he was running for president that he was open to releasing a full accounting of the case, but is now trying to dismiss the push as a Democrat hoax. And, you know, let's talk about Charlie Kirk for a minute. Let's talk about how we got here. We got here because the current president of the United States of America ran a campaign based off of hate, based off of fear, based off of vitriol, based off of conspiracy theory. He literally scraped the bottom of the barrel, and he found voters that generally didn't want to vote. They were the disenfranchised, the people who said their vote doesn't count, the people who thought, you know, all politicians are bad, both sides are the same, two wings of the same bird. He got those people up and off the couch, but the way he did it was he used his WWE chops to do it. He used his Jerry Springer mentality to do it. He used the 4chan idea of trolling and insulting. And when we talk about what happened yesterday, that is a direct result of the type of rhetoric that we have seen from Donald Trump and people like Charlie Kirk up to this point. I agree with Pastor Ben. I have empathy for Charlie Kirk's children. I have an understanding that we should not have political violence in this day and age. But we also have to be honest about how we got here. And we got here because people like Donald Trump got a lot of people worked up about things like the release of the Epstein files. I've said this over and over again. The people on the right that want to see the Epstein files released, they don't want to see them released because they think Donald Trump's going to be in them. They think that there is not going to be any of their heroes within those files. And I've said it before that you're not going to be able to just push off the Epstein files by saying, hey, we're going to investigate this person or that person. These people want a pound of flesh. They want a pound of flesh. And you've created this atmosphere of anger and hate and fear. And there are repercussions, there are consequences for that. And as often is the case, it's not Donald Trump that suffers those consequences. It's either people around him or people that aren't anywhere near him that didn't do anything to be a part of the situation. So when we talk about Democrats pushing to get these files released, and you think about the fact that these MAGA Republicans all of a sudden are making up every excuse under the sun to stop them from being released or for them not to investigate them, you have to ask yourself whether or not those people that have been enraged, that are fearful, that are angry, what are they doing right now? And what they are doing, guys, is they're going around the internet saying things like the Jews did it. They're going around the internet saying the CIA did it. Because these aren't people that came into this game with a full deck of cards. They came into this game wanting blood, wanting a conclusion to their conspiracy. They wanted to be the person that said, I knew the whole time this is what was going to happen. It was going to be the Democrats. It was going to be in the bottom of the pizza basement, whatever it is. Whichever conspiracy. And Donald Trump didn't give them that pound of flesh. And now these people are worked up and they're angry and they don't know what to do with it. They are enraged and they are fearful and they don't know how to live normal life until they get that pound of flesh. And Donald Trump is calling it a Democrat hoax. This is very confusing for these people. So far, Democrats have been successful in forcing Republican leadership to grapple with the issue, yet it was unclear whether they would actually be able to crack Donald Trump's hold on congressional Republicans to force legislation through Congress. Like, to be honest with you, if I was Thomas Massey or Rand Paul, I would be concerned right now. Because these people right now, I mean, actually, Charlie Kirk, that's one of the conspiracies currently going around, is that Charlie Kirk had said, we need to release the Epstein files. He said that to Megyn Kelly on stage at a show. And there's a lot of people now, right and left, that are saying, that seems sus. Dude says release the Epstein files. Dude gets disappeared. And, you know, I'm not one to dabble too hard in conspiracy theory. I'm a person that's a keep it simple, stupid kind of person. I'm a KISS. I believe in KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. I believe that's from The Office, so don't judge me. Generally, I'm going to guess, you know, that this is something to do with mental health, something to do with people that are triggered by the things that Charlie Kirk talked about and did in his life, the anger and the hate that he brought along with him for the clicks and the views, that he engendered in people, that he baited people with to make money off of it. That would be my best guess. But I've been wrong before. And if I was Thomas Massey or if I was Paul, I would be pretty fucking worried about my safety when it comes to these people, because you're pushing back against Donald Trump, which means you might be pushing back against the real villain, even in your story, and you're pushing back against people that legit are angry and hateful and want to do something about what happened yesterday, and they may be looking for a target. And if it was Paul or it was Massey, you know, I actually give them a lot of credit for standing up and trying to force these votes, trying to help these victims get their stories out there. I have a lot of respect for that as a human being. I may not agree with them as far as like other things that they believe politically, but I do respect what they're doing, and I do want to see a bipartisan movement to help these Epstein files get to where people can see them. I asked my Republican colleagues, after all those years you spent calling for accountability, for transparency, for getting to the bottom of these awful crimes, why won't you vote yes? That's what Chuck Schumer said on the floor yesterday. Dude, Chuck Schumer did something. Can we get another round of applause? He did it again. He came out here and he did something, guys. It was nothing, actually, but he did try. He actually tried. I'm excited. That's how excited we get over like the smallest shit nowadays. We're like, somebody tried something. The New York Democrat maneuvered earlier Wednesday to force a procedural vote on language that would force the Justice Department to release the Epstein files, inserting it into an annual defense policy bill that Congress has to pass. That's actually a smooth. You stick that sucker in the middle of a $900 billion defense fund? That's a pretty smooth move. I'm actually surprised the Republicans caught it because we all know they can't read. Senate Republican leadership was then forced to hold a vote to dispense with Schumer's amendment, arguing that he was inserting political gamesmanship into defense legislation that often enjoys bipartisan support. This is not the right way to do it, said Senator Mike Rounds, a South Dakota Republican who's probably also supporting the blocking of the Epstein files because he's also scared of Donald Trump, and maybe he's in those files too. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said earlier this week that the Justice Department has already released tons of files on Epstein. I trust them in terms of having the confidence that they'll get as much information out there as possible in a way that protects the rights of the victims, added Thune. And that's the game they're going to play. When they asked him about the birthday card, what did they say? They said, hey, Donald Trump said that's not his. He didn't write that. We're going to just go with it. We're just going to go with it. What president, Republican or Democratic, in the past 100 years has ever been allowed to just say, I didn't do that, and have Congress go, we're not going to investigate it? He said he didn't do it. Ask yourself that. We live in the dumbest fucking timeline. This is crazy. Yesterday, 3 children were shot and were in the hospital at Evergreen High School, 2 of them in critical condition. And not a single person spoke up about that. Charlie Kirk was shot and the entire world lost its fucking mind. That's crazy. Celebrity or children? That's the choice. Let me ask you a question. If you're religious, if Jesus is sitting in front of you and he said, who do you think deserves the most attention in this scenario? Children that were victims of gun violence, or a man has spoken up in the defense of it? What do you think Jesus will want you to answer? I'm not religious, so you're going to have to help me out with this one. Still, many in the Republican base, as well as some victims of Epstein's abuse, have been unsatisfied with the Justice Department has so far released. And that's because we know they're just releasing the same shit. And we know when he says he's so confident that they're going to go ahead and release more and more. Don't worry, guys. We'll release more. There's still tons of information, and we're going to get into that. The calls for disclosure of Epstein's case has at moments consumed Congress, looming over politics even more when Epstein killed himself in a Manhattan jail while awaiting trial in 2019 on charges that said he abused and trafficked dozens of underage girls. Didn't say that. He did that. The case was brought more than a decade after he secretly cut a deal with federal prosecutors in Florida to dispose of nearly identical allegations. Of course, Alex Acosta, part of Trump's original administration, is the person who made that sweetheart deal for him. Epstein was accused of paying underage girls hundreds of dollars in cash for massages, and then molesting them. I'm very tired this week. I can't talk. Asked by reporters Wednesday why Democrats had not pushed for disclosure when they controlled the White House, Schumer responded, "It's become so apparent that they're lying about it in every different way, and the demands of the American people are so great. The need is greater than ever now," he added. I'm going to call bullshit on that. Should have been released Biden's administration. And fuck that administration, too, for not doing it. I've told you guys before. I think Biden is top 15 as far as domestic policy goes. I'm 10 toes down on this. Don't give a fuck. Democrat, Republican, independent, libertarian, progressive, fucking fascist. Release the files. Release the files. That is the, from this point on until this administration goes down in the fucking bonfire of flames that it is fucking fated to do, I am going to be yelling the words, release the files. Tomorrow, it could be my favorite fucking Saquon Barkley. He could fucking die on the field. I will be saying, release the files. The entire fucking Oakland A's baseball team could fucking go straight to the Appalachians, or actually, where's a lot of snow at? Somewhere, Mount Everest. That's a good place. And pull a move like that soccer team did, where they all eat each other. Still gonna be saying, release the files. I think that movie's called Alive. Meanwhile, a separate effort to force a vote on a similar bill in the House inched ahead. Democrats picked up one more House seat when Rep. James Walkinshaw was sworn into office after winning a special election this week. Got to keep that shit up. Got to keep winning these small elections. We're eating away. We're eating away at that House. It gives them one more supporter for a procedure called a discharge petition to maneuver around Republican leadership's control of the House floor and hold a vote on legislation to force the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. 4 Republicans have also signed on to the discharge petition, meaning that it is just one name short of having the support needed to potentially force a vote that could come as soon as the end of this month, when a heavily blue congressional district in Arizona holds a special election to fill a vacant seat. The end of this month, guys, September. The end of this month. That is where we're at. Let me just put it this way. You think you're distracted now? You think they're pulling out all the stops now to distract you? The end of this month. That's when the discharge petition has enough signatures to release them files. Oh my God. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Because if you think they have been trying to distract you up to this point, I can only imagine what they are going to be doing over the next 3 weeks. Release the files. So, then we talk about why. Why? And I know, I'm preaching to the choir. I get it. I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody on here is like, no, we know why. We know why. Well, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it loudly enough that people in the back can hear what we have to say. Because we are going to keep talking about this. And we are going to keep talking about this. And we are going to keep talking about this. Because we are not going to be distracted. This is why. Leaked emails reveal Epstein wanted Trump deleted from mysterious power list. Mind you, these are from the articles that have now been coming out. These are, when we talk about the birthday book, the 50th birthday book with the weird-ass drawings and the letter from the dude with the big-ass check that says that Donald Trump bought a woman. If you don't know about that story, look that one up. A big prop check where a guy wrote a funny joke about Donald Trump buying a woman from Epstein. That joke seems a little too on point for me. They're scared. Donald Trump's scared. And he should be. Billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein told Ghislaine Maxwell to remove Donald Trump from a mysterious power list, according to a new catch of intriguing emails released today. The trove more than 18,000 messages from Epstein's Yahoo account. That's just kind of funny. Just that we're on Yahoo. I'll be honest. The trove more than 18,000 messages. Also, who has 18,000 messages? Dude, I had my Gmail for work had, I think, 12,000 after, I think, 11 years. I think it had like 12,000. I had to clean that shit up. More than 18,000 messages from Epstein's Yahoo account published by Bloomberg depicts Maxwell as closely involved in money movements, reputational pushback, and intimate logistics. But guys, remember, if you watched my show last night, there's an influencer right now, a right-wing influencer that is pro-Ghislaine Maxwell. She says the victims are making it all up. Ghislaine Maxwell is innocent. She has free Ghislaine shirts that she sells. This is how much hate these people have pushed forward. They are literally on the side of the pedophile. You got to be kidding me. You think this is my fault because I mocked you? I made fun of you for being a protector of pedos? No, this is your game. I'm just playing in it. I know what the rules are. I'm not taking the blame for that shit. That's all people like that woman that are accusing the victims of being liars, of being grifters. You know, everything that person is. One of the most startling Trump-related moments is disarmingly brief. On September 14th, 2006, Maxwell wrote, "Please review list and add or remove peeps," attaching a roster of 51 politicians, financiers, and power players. You wonder why they don't want them Epstein files released, huh? And they're using blue-collar people, working-class people, like Saddam Hussein was using his citizens to block people from blowing up factories. MAGA right now is the human shield around these Epstein files. I want to make other jokes, but I said I'd wait 72 hours before I started making Charlie Kirk jokes. The purpose of the list isn't stated. Bloomberg could not determine if from the email itself, given that there was no subject line or context to indicate what it referred to. Epstein's two-word reply was short but striking. It said simply, "Remove Trump." The removal of Trump's name from whatever the list was came 2 months after Epstein was charged in Florida with a solicitation of prostitution and as federal scrutiny was snowballing. Remember, this is when Donald Trump was an FBI informant, guys. This is when Donald Trump was undercover. Oh, damn, I have a joke to make about that and it ain't right. Okay. A year later, Epstein was signed a secretive 2007 non-prosecution deal that spared him federal charges. You don't say. You don't say. Some accounts suggest Epstein and Trump had fallen out in 2004, with some attributing that to a multi-million-dollar property deal dispute. Epstein was found dead in his cell in 2019 at the age of 66 while facing child trafficking charges. However, Trump, under intense pressure to explain his friendship with Epstein, told reporters in late July that he had cut ties after Epstein stole female employees who worked at his Mar-a-Lago private members club. Not to mention, don't forget, I believe the Jeffrey Epstein was a terrific guy and liked him young was from 2012. Yeah. Yet, a Daily Beast exclusive in early August reported that the billionaire financier had remained a member of the exclusive venue until October 2007, more than a year after he was indicted on one count of soliciting prostitution, and despite widespread media coverage that disclosed allegations of sexual contact with minors. The president has sought to play down his friendship with a man he described in 2002, my bad, as a terrific guy, as the 79-year-old fights the release of the files related to the late pedophile financier. And this latest exchange between Epstein and his associate and co-conspirator Maxwell, 63, who is serving a 20-year sentence for child sex trafficking, perhaps indicates that the friendship between Epstein and Trump had truly ended. The messages also add detail to a well-documented social overlap in the late 90s and early 2000s, including the widely seen 2000 photo of Trump, wife Melania, Epstein, and Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago, and coverage of numerous events where the now president crossed paths with Epstein and Maxwell. This latest release of Maxwell's emails is likely to do little to quell the storm of the questions facing him about Epstein's. The emails also show Trump surfacing again on August 23, 2007, as Epstein and Maxwell wargamed the intense press and prosecutorial scrutiny around Epstein's Florida case. Maxwell wrote, "You have to assume they went to Donald Trump before ticking through potential reporting avenues and sources. It's not clear who they refers to." I'm going to guess that's when he became the FBI informant. The White House was forced this week to deny a claim by his ally Mike Johnson, here we go, that Trump had been an FBI informant. Johnston was then forced to walk back on that claim because this is the fucking dumbest timeline. Beyond those mentions, Bloomberg's report Trump's appear only 3 minor times in the entire catch. Maxwell told, I want to know which 3 times that is. Maxwell told Deputy Attorney Todd Blanc in a July interview that she never saw Trump act inappropriately with Epstein. And we should believe that, guys, because she's a really good person that doesn't often lie or do bad shit to children at all. The emails do, however, highlight Maxwell's role in curating Epstein's social universe, right down to who belonged on a power list, Donald Trump, whatever its purpose. The White House, asked by Bloomberg about Trump's name in the emails, dismissed the whole thing. This is just more stupid fake news playing into the hands of the Democrat hoax trying to link President Trump and Epstein. However, Bloomberg says it vetted the inbox through cryptographic checks, metadata work, and cross-referencing with public records and other materials. The outlet stressed that the account was one of several Epstein used and that deletions likely occurred, meaning the tranche, that's a funny word, of emails is incomplete. Despite that, it offers a rare first-person look at the way Epstein leveraged wealth, gifts, and access to build and defend his network. According to Bloomberg, Maxwell even coordinated a shared fertility treatment with Epstein. What does that mean? In late 2005, she sent Epstein step-by-step directions for a semen sample tied to her procedure. Within 90 minutes of my procedure, and all the ejaculate must be collected. Guys, I didn't want to read that. That's in my head now. I'm sorry. I am so sorry for that. In September 2000, she wrote, "Your cup plus instructions are in the Oval Room. The sample has to be dropped off at 10. You have to fill out the forms." The email strongly suggests IVF using Epstein's sample, though there's no confirmation in the catch that it went ahead or what the outcome was. I don't know why I know these things. This is the dumbest timeline. I don't want to know these things. I don't want to be a part of this. I just want justice for these fucking people. That's all. That's all. I don't want to know about any of this. I just want the FBI to do their job. I want the fucking police to do their job. Do you think we are distracted enough? This is what's coming out while everybody's distracted. No, I'm not covering that, Alan. I'm not going to tell you guys what Alan's asking on the other channel right now. We need to remember what is important right now. Now, I said this the other day, and I said this on my channel, so I didn't get to make all you guys mad. I made all the people on my channel mad. Maybe Pastor Ben did my work over here for me, because I think we're on the same page on this. We got to stop getting distracted. It's like, fucking, let's talk about chorus! Let's talk about the other left-wing content creators we hate! Let's talk about how we don't like this about this person in our party or that person in our party! Let's talk about this crazy shit that's happening. Nope. Let's talk about the Epstein files. We have one job. Guys, we have one job, and that is to stay on task. And we can talk about lots of other things. I'm not saying that we can't. I'm not saying that you can't have opinions on other things. I'm not saying that when I say to you that you just need to stop infighting, stop attacking each other about really small things you disagree on, in my opinion, small things. Maybe to you they're big things. But that as long as you can do that and focus, go for it. But let's not be distractions to each other. Let's not distract from the main priority. And the main priority right now is to focus on what this administration is doing. And that is stealing from the working class. That is protecting pedos. That is using tariffs and other bullshit to fleece the money from working class people and to give it to wealthy billionaires. we need to stay on task. And so we got a couple more things to talk about. So let's watch this video. It's a little bit longer video. And then at that, we're going to talk about the farmers. And maybe even get to some cell phone stuff as well. It's a lot. There's a lot to cover. We're staying on task, though. Maybe we'll let Visora talk about the cell phones. Visora's good at that. So let's go ahead. Okay. So this is a video from Channel 4 News. The real Epstein files, missing terabytes revealed.
2025 was supposed to be the year that we would find out everything about the Jeffrey Epstein case.
We need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The public has a right to know.
The good old days.
Have a right to know.
But instead, the Trump administration now says there's no Epstein client list, there was no blackmail, and no more evidence can be released to the public. They've supercharged speculation and angered their own supporters.
The explanations here are just absurd.
And at the heart of it all are the Epstein files. In July, the Department of Justice said their review was done. Nothing more to see. But we don't think the DOJ's account of the Epstein files fully adds up. We've trawled through
You don't say.
material relating to Epstein's crimes, hundreds of court documents and previous disclosures. The DOJ said its review included 300 gigabytes of evidence. But our analysis asked if the true scale of the Epstein files is much, much larger and actually runs to terabytes. Still.
Can you imagine that? Like, okay, so think about this when they say that. Like, 300 gigabytes is actually a lot of information. But terabytes of information. That's not, you have terabytes of music. That's not, you have terabytes of memes downloaded on your computer. And I'm looking at me. Because that's me. Because I like memes. That's terabytes of information surrounding child trafficking. Just, like, for 1 second, in your mind, quantify what terabytes of information surrounding a human trafficker would look like. That's disgusting. It's horrible. And this is at the fingertips of the Justice Department. And they're choosing not to do anything about it. They're choosing to leak it out a little bit at a time. They're choosing to say things like, Donald Trump didn't write that birthday card. That looks nothing like his signature. Oh, that's his signature too? It's still not worth looking at. We're going to move on. There is no fucking way, as a person with a fully functioning frontal lobe, that you can see all of this and not come to the conclusion that Donald Trump is in those files or protecting the people that are in those files because he is connected to those people. Terabytes worth of information surrounding the trafficking of children. Don't even want to see it? That seems a little sus.
Unreleased to the public. And in a scandal plagued by claims of intelligence and blackmail, we've identified sophisticated surveillance equipment that can be linked to multiple cameras and accessed remotely. We'll hear from forensic and legal experts about what we've found.
300 gigabytes is not anywhere close to encompassing all of the digital evidence in this case.
And look at how Trump's administration is dealing with the fallout of breathing new life into the Epstein mystery.
This is why members of the public don't trust the government. They
Yeah,
think
no
there's a
shit.
cover-up.
First, let's remind ourselves of why Trump and his government is facing endless headlines about Jeffrey Epstein. Questions over Epstein have obsessed the MAGA movement for years.
You are on the right side of history.
Before they were elected, leading figures now working in Trump's government said the files needed to be released.
There are a lot of people who are knee-deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
We need to release the Epstein list.
Dude, this is all really good advice. This is very good advice. Somebody should get these people to talk to the people in the government about the Epstein files. I think, guys, if we got these guys, that Dan Bongino guy, that Kash Patel guy, and that Pam Bondi lady, oh yeah, the J.D. Vance dude, if we could get those guys to talk to the people in the administration right now, I think they could get them to release the files, guys. That's crazy.
And even Trump said he'd have no problem with it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Then,
can somebody get a hold of that guy? That guy should go and talk to the president of the United States and let him know. Like, he should talk to him. Look at Crazy Eyes Cash, bro. Crazy Eyes Cash always... Why does he always look so fucking stiff? Why does he always look like this? This man does not ever look comfortable. What do they have on this man? Dude, what did Crazy Eyes Cash do? They got some legit shit on this man.
Once they got into power, Trump's Attorney General, Pam Bondi, frequently teased the release of more Epstein evidence.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. You're going to see some Epstein information being released.
Oh, somebody should let her know.
Literally the day after that interview, the moment arrived. The release of the Epstein files, phase 1. Conservative commentators and social media stars stood triumphantly outside the White House.
Which one? That's Ray Chick. So the girl that is claiming that the Epstein victims were not actually abused is one of these people.
Holding up binders of evidence. But actually, the day of the big reveal turned out to be a big disappointment. Most of the 200 pages declassified were already available to the public.
Yep.
It was not what the MAGA world was promised.
That's how dumb they think you are.
Effectively nothing new in the binders. These are stuff that we've known for 3 years.
Oh, shit. Did not pre-watch, guys. Did not pre-watch.
This came out, and it was a nothing burger. I am really pissed.
Facing a backlash.
Guys, they're so mad. This video's from 2 weeks ago. They're so mad that none of them are talking about it anymore. They were really, really upset, guys. They were so upset, guys, that they've just completely stopped talking about it.
Bondi quickly released a statement saying that she was told by an anonymous FBI source that thousands of pages of documents were secretly withheld from her office, and so she ordered the FBI to release them. And again, Bondi promised transparency.
Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. We're going to...
Oh, a truckload? You don't say. A truckload. Wow, that'd be great if you guys could, do something with that truckload of hoax. A whole truckload of hoax, guys. Man, a truckload of evidence. I mean, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, James Comey. Like, dude, that's a lot of writing they must have done. Wow.
Go through it as fast as we can. It's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know.
That's
Americans
good to know.
have a right to know.
And so, after months of examining all the evidence, did we finally find out what was in those files? Not quite. On July the 8th, the DOJ and the FBI released a memo that said there was no client list, no evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, that no third parties would be investigated, and that Epstein's death was suicide. And as for that truckload of evidence, well, after conducting a, quote, exhaustive review, the DOJ and FBI said they had found over 10,000 downloaded videos and images of illegal child sex abuse material and other pornography, and they would not permit the release of child pornography.
Bro, just think about that for 1 second. They're saying that videos do exist. Like, you don't say we can't release these videos because they are child porn. All right, you don't say something like that unless it exists. Why do we live in this timeline? What happened? Did the CERN machine, did the Higgs boson, when we found the Higgs boson, did we jump realities? Because this shit is just dumb. This shouldn't even be a question. This should be fucking Nepal Part 2 America style. These people don't care about kids. They don't care about children. They didn't care about them yesterday, and they didn't care about them 2 weeks ago, and they've never cared about them.
Speaking at the White House the next day, the Attorney General was clear on what that meant.
Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day.
This immediately raised...
Literally saying they have videos of this!
Including Nima Rahmani, a former federal prosecutor.
I can't believe that all the evidence whether it's pictures or videos, constitutes child pornography. There has to be some non-pornography evidence that can be made public to the American people.
The message was clear from the Trump administration. Nothing more to see here. We don't agree. Let's start with the number, 300 gigabytes of data. The DOJ offered just a single sentence about what they reviewed in the July memo. A significant amount of material, including more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. Back in the early 2000s, when the Epstein investigations were starting, that would have been the space of one decent-sized hard drive on your average home computer. But Jeffrey Epstein didn't run an average home. In fact, there's a lot to suggest he was obsessed with data.
Jesus Christ. Like, can this dude get any weirder? Like, that room just looks weird.
And storing evidence.
Like fucking videos and fucking hard drives and computers and screens and shit all over the place. Dude, this is like, who did I hear the other day? I was watching one of the Weinstein brothers that said that he knew him, which was a really weird interview. I know you guys aren't Weinstein people, I understand that, but you should actually look up Eric, or what's the other brother? Whichever one, the Peter Thiel people. The ones, like, to think about, so Thiel is connected to Epstein. And we know that through emails where Epstein discusses meeting Thiel with an Arab fellow, right? And then the Weinsteins, one of them runs Thiel's capital firm, right? And even with that being said, Weinstein, I think it was not even that long ago, months ago, maybe a year ago, did an interview where he talks to this guy and says that he thinks that Epstein was a construct. And he keeps saying that over and over again, and the guy keeps asking him, what do you mean when you say construct? And he's like, a construct. And he answers every question this guy has for him in the weirdest fucking way. And you guys should watch that video. You guys should 100% watch that video.
Pictures of FBI seizures at Epstein's homes show piles of CDs, hard drives, and a number of computers. And the files the Department of Justice released in February give us a clearer idea of just how much digital storage he had. This evidence list from Phase 1 in February details dozens of hard disks, computers, iPads, thumb drives, and network servers. It's packed with digital devices. Some are listed with their storage capacity. With others, we use model and serial numbers to work it out. Adding together the capacity of only the devices where we can be certain of their size, our analysis shows the total comes to more than 24 terabytes. Now, obviously some of the devices may have been empty or only partially filled, but the contrast between the July memo and the February evidence list is striking. The 300 gigabytes specifically mentioned in the July memo would represent a tiny fraction of those potential 24 terabytes, just over 1% of the total data capacity laid out by the DOJ in February. And we know there's a huge amount of evidence out there. During Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, her lawyer complained to the judge about how Maxwell was having to review terabytes of evidence on inadequate prison computers while waiting for trial. Evidence includes...
Dude, see, this is why it's so important for people to keep talking about this. Like, it's too much for one person to be able to go over. We need teams and teams of people looking into this, and then we need teams of people getting this out to people so that way they can see it. And then that's not the end of it. We need to be talking to each other about this. This is quite possibly the greatest cover-up in the history of the United States of America. The worst, most horrendous, horrific cover-up that has ever happened in the United States of America.
Included approximately 214,000 photographs, hundreds of hours of audio-visual files, 2.4 million pages of material, 20,000 pages of interview notes, and
to be honest, 2.4 million pages, that's barely one George Martin book.
Reports and other materials related to 226 separate witnesses. That's terabytes of evidence being discussed in black and white between a judge and Maxwell's lawyer in a case the Department of Justice was prosecuting in 2021. But now, the DOJ is telling...
You know how tough it has to be, like, to be this reporter? To know all of this shit and just, like, deal with this dumbass timeline? To just be sitting there, like, knowing all of these things and then to actually, like, just watch TV and see the dumb shit people say? God, I think, like, my job's hard. I can't even imagine what it's like to be this poor fellow.
...in the world that it's providing maximum information to the public, but only refers to evidence including more than 300 gigabytes. We spoke to Stacey Eldridge, a former FBI senior forensic examiner, about what we found.
Are they saying they were only going to produce 300 gigabytes of discovery? Did they think there were only 300 gigabytes of data that was relevant to this case that they were going to use in trial? It's really vague.
The government is being less than genuine when they said that there's only...
You think so? Dude, that is the nicest way to talk about the Trump administration I have heard so far. Less than genuine. I think the next time that I get busted being dishonest about something, my wife's like, did you lie to me? I'm going to say, okay, look, I was being less than genuine.
300 gigabytes of data. We know from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial that there were terabytes of discovery that were produced in that case.
The DOJ's conclusion to their exhaustive review needs a closer look too. Their aim was to release as much as possible while protecting victims and respecting the evidence that's been sealed by courts. In the end, they decided that no further disclosure was appropriate or warranted. But is it feasible that within potentially terabytes of information, the hundreds of thousands of documents, photos, videos, emails, and messages, that there was nothing that warranted release?
And you also need to keep in mind that Trump was president while all of this shit was going on. Oh, it just turns out, like, you don't need to look any further into this information? No more? All of that information exists and none of it is relevant? Is it because Donald Trump's name isn't there? Is that why?
Because just a quick look at the evidence list from February raises questions about the DOJ's conclusion. The list mentions photos of Epstein's private island, like these ones. They were previously released in open court. And what about this poster? Clear evidence of how Epstein operated. It was previously found on an electronic device and released in court. If files like these were on one of the data devices the DOJ said they had back in February, why not release them now? And as rumors that Jeffrey Epstein was working with intelligence agencies continue to swell, we know he had an Austrian passport with a fake name, which was used to enter Saudi Arabia and the UK, which was found in a locked safe alongside $70,000 in cash and 48 loose diamonds.
What? I need to get that one more time.
Epstein was working with intelligence agencies continue to swell. We know he had an Austrian passport with a fake name, which was used to enter Saudi Arabia and the UK, which was found in a locked safe alongside $70,000 in cash and 48 loose diamonds.
Bro, what? Bro, what? $70,000 in cash, 48 loose diamonds, a fake passport. Nothing to see here, guys. Nothing to see. I think I just need to move to Canada. I don't think I can fix this. I don't think any of us. Guys. Guys. We might want to get some fake passports of our own. I can't help you guys out with cash or diamonds. I don't have either of those things, nor do I have any fake passports. You guys are pretty much on your own. Sorry about that. But if you guys got some of that shit, you can hook me up with it.
None of this require the release of any more evidence or warrant further investigation?
The most helpful evidence would be the FBI interview notes, as well as any video evidence. Video doesn't lie. It can show that who else was at Epstein's Island when the accusers claim that they were sexually abused. There has to be a treasure trove of information that the Department of Justice has access to that they're not making public.
And there's one particular area of speculation about Epstein that has persisted for years.
You think this freak show of Epstein wasn't like, it didn't have hidden cameras, or wasn't taped and
Were there hidden cameras at literally every property?
Who has the tapes?
Look at these images of
Dan, who has the tapes, bro? Who has them now, Dan? Who has the tapes? How can he? Like, I didn't even watch this motherfucker. Didn't Trump supporters watch Dan Bongino? Weren't they all so fucking excited that Bongino was going to be in the FBI because he's going to release the files? Bro, I'm getting closer and closer to believing they actually took Charlie Kirk out to distract Trump supporters. Not distract us. To distract Trump supporters. I'm starting to become a conspiracy theorist.
By the New York Times. They were taken in Epstein's Upper East Side Manhattan apartment. They show cameras in one bedroom and an adjoining room. And after the Palm Beach Police Department first investigated Epstein in 2005, a report for the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility says the police knew that Epstein had surveillance cameras stationed in and around his home, which potentially captured video evidence of people visiting his residence. Victims of Epstein have long claimed his properties were covered by cameras.
He showed you cameras throughout the house.
The main thing he did when
we've seen the cameras. We've seen the pictures of the inside of the rooms. They're not hidden cameras. They're fucking just cameras. Even in that Weinstein interview I was talking about, he said that there was a cigar tube camera that was pointed at him while he was giving the interview. And I know I saw some of you in my chat saying he's a fucking liar. I get that. I understand. Just saying. Fucking weird that this guy's fucking in there being like, I don't know, Epstein was kind of a weirdo. Calling a weirdo takes one to know one.
walked in and I thought it was interesting. He showed me where the men monitoring everything were. I looked on the cameras
monitoring,
and I saw toilet, bed, toilet, bed. It was very obvious that they were like monitoring private moments.
And it's clear from looking at the DOJ's evidence list in February that sophisticated security camera gear was found on Epstein's properties. It reveals seized CCTV and surveillance equipment capable of recording banks of cameras and storing terabytes of data, including a Unify NVR, or network video recorder. That's a small server that stores and manages...
Hey, I use UNIFI cameras. The store I work for totally has that system. It's probably a little outdated now.
Just video from up to 20 cameras. Additional hardware could have made it possible to access the clips and save them remotely.
Many know.
Another system, wrongly spelled as Cube, appears to be a Secure 9000 site server. It's marketed for use as a security system for schools, healthcare centers, or small businesses, designed to help monitor access and can be used with video systems. We know nothing about exactly what, if any, data investigators retrieved from the surveillance systems. Another glimpse at potential evidence before the shutters came down.
When you're talking about dozens and dozens of electronic devices seized from Jeffrey Epstein, it has to be video, most likely, or thousands and thousands of pictures. Why have...
Yeah, what else would fucking be on there? Like, why would he have all those cameras? Just fucking, he's really, really worried about defense. Just waiting for somebody to rob his house, so he'd had like 30 cameras in his house so he could catch every angle of the robbery. The motherfucker was a trafficker. We all know why he had those cameras. You don't have to be fucking Columbo. Guys, I'm pretty sure we can put two and two together here.
And those pictures been produced.
I think there's a lot of evidence that, these files, such as they are, there's a lot of material that could be released. Just recently in the United States, as part of a sort of distraction from the Epstein files, the Trump administration is releasing all of these FBI files about the investigation into Trump's connection with Russia. And I'll tell you, they managed to redact a lot.
Dude, do you guys remember that shit? Like, where'd it go? Where did it go? It just... Obama's going to prison, guys. Obama's going to prison. Where'd it go? Like, how, as a Trump supporter, are you not fucking raging right now? How, as a Trump supporter, are you not, like, looking at everything that's been promised to you and seeing the way that this man is distracting you from the things that you like or the priorities? It's why you voted for him. How are you not enraged that this president has lied to you and gaslit you over and over and over? Are these people like the perfect abuse victim? Like, come on, man. Just for 1 minute, drink some coffee, wake up, and look at the way that you're being treated by the guy that said he was going to give you all of these things. Ask yourself, what has he done since he's gotten out of office except for to distract from the things that he told you he was going to give you?
So the idea that suddenly they can't redact things, in this case, I think is a little suspect.
The one piece of new evidence the DOJ did release in July wasn't even related to Epstein's crimes, but to his death. Hours of what was described as raw CCTV footage captured in Jeffrey Epstein's prison blog on the day he was found dead in his cell. But analysis by experts and other media outlets quickly pointed out issues with the footage, like a missing minute the DOJ said was the result of a nightly reset.
The first shocker was, the midnight reboot, and then people said, oh, we've found a minute missing, and then it was kind of up to 2.5 minutes, and then maybe 3 minutes. And then, as other people pointed out, you can see like the mouse moving, so it's certainly not a raw video.
No.
By any means.
Even by any means. The video from Jeffrey Epstein's jail the night he died, that was ostensibly supposed to prove he killed himself. Well, CBS News did a analysis of it, and they said this doesn't really prove anything. You can see people sneaking up to the block of jail cells out of view of the camera, things like this. So there are so many unanswered questions here.
If Trump's Department of Justice hoped its July memo would finally put to rest the conspiracy theories and speculation around the crimes and death of Jeffrey Epstein, then between the edited prison footage, potentially missing terabytes of data, and no further release of evidence, what it actually achieved was to breathe more life into the Epstein files mystery.
Whether it's Bondi or Patel or other high-level folks at the DOJ, they've been saying something for years, again, before they were in these positions. And now that they're at DOJ, this is why people think that there's a deep state and there's this conspiracy to protect the rich and powerful in America.
I think this is the biggest problem Trump has.
Yeah, that's all real. That should be across party lines at this point.
Faced, with his base potentially ever.
It's a problem of their own making, which the world's most powerful man and his administration are desperate to move on from.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
God, to their faces. To their faces!
Okay. But what the president can't move on from is the fact that he and Epstein knew each other for years. It's believed the two men first became friends in the late 1980s or early 90s, knowing each other from parties in the Palm Beach.
Yeah, guys, that's totally how I talk to just average people that I barely even know, guys. That is the exact way that I look at talking to just random people. Definitely not a friendly manner or like you're good friends. Definitely.
And New York social circuits. In an interview with New York Magazine in 2002, Trump described Epstein as a terrific guy. And just 2 years before he died, Epstein told the journalist Michael Wolff that he was Donald Trump's closest friend for 10 years. More recently, Trump has been keen to distance himself from the disgraced Epstein. The president claims they fell out years ago and hadn't spoken in more than a decade before Epstein's death.
I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you.
Trump has denied any wrongdoing, and he's never
been
accused by law enforcement
not a fan.
Involvement in Epstein's crimes. But the desire to make the story go away has only fueled more speculation, including from Democratic House leader Hakeem Jeffries.
What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of
Oh, Hakeem. Hakeem the Dream. Guys, can we get some new fucking politicians? Look, I don't dislike Hakeem Jeffries as a person. But can we get some fucking fire? Can we get somebody up there like fucking banging the podium and being like, this is bullshit! This is crazy town! Instead we got Hakeem Jeffrey going, what? If anything... like he's trying to it's like Hakeem is trying to be mad, but he don't know how to be mad. Also, Hakeem wears them like little tennis shoes with his shit, and he never looks like he's serious. Like it looks like my son showing up in my suit. Hakeem, dog, we gotta work on the cadence. We gotta work on the fire. God, we are cooked. We're in trouble, guys.
What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding?
Dude, Hakeem Jeffries kind of sounded like somebody's mom. Just like a confused mom figure. Like, what are we doing right now? I don't no, I'm asking you for like reals. What are we doing? Oh, God damn it.
Option 1, they lied for years. Option 2, they're engaging in a cover-up. At this point, it seems reasonable that can only be one of the two things.
I think this is a big part.
Like, dude, you have to bring a little more aggression. Like, it's just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It seems weird that that the president of the United States might be I think it's weird. I think he might be covering up like a pedophile ring. It's weird. Like, dude, say that shit with your chest. Some confidence. I'm just leaving it out there, just in case anybody wanted to pick it up.
Problem for Donald Trump, and I'm not accusing him of any wrongdoing, but there is this perception that the reason the documents aren't being produced is because he's somehow implicated in them. If I were advising the president, I would strongly encourage him to make the documents public, like he said during his presidential campaign, like his cabinet level officials have said they would do, to really clear this cloud of mistrust when it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein files.
If the July memo was supposed to be a victory of transparency, the DOJ's handling of it all has only added to that cloud of mistrust and angered some of Trump's biggest supporters.
There's so much to unpack. The explanations.
Oh, Candace Owens. Dude, that's one you don't want to talk about. You don't want to be like, Candace Owens is one of my biggest supporters.
Here are just absurd.
Because here's my stance on this. The whole thing should be released.
She has created an embarrassment and also a PR crisis for the President of the United States.
I blame Pam Bondi.
The White House is now clearly trying to win back the angry MAGA crowd. First, by going to someone who knows more than anyone about Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell was his former girlfriend and accomplice, and she's serving 20 years for recruiting and trafficking teenage girls for sexual abuse by Epstein. After the backlash to July's memo, Pam Bondi announced that her deputy would speak to Maxwell. That interview took place over 2 days for 9 hours.
She answered those questions honestly, truthfully, to the best of her ability.
Because that's what criminal sex traffickers do, guys, is they answer questions honestly, truthfully, to the best of their abilities.
She never invoked a privilege. She never refused to answer a question.
The Department of Justice said they'd share details of those conversations at the appropriate time, but that time still hasn't arrived, leaving the door open to speculation about what Maxwell has told the administration. Speculation that was supercharged when, just a few days after her interview, Maxwell was given a transfer to a minimum security prison camp in Texas with fewer inmates and granted work release. And it was reported that Maxwell had said nothing in her interview that would be harmful to the president, all while her legal team pushes for a pardon that Trump hasn't ruled out.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon.
And if that wasn't enough fuel for the conspiracy
Fucking
theory
Trump,
fire,
man.
Good morning. Do you have anything to say today?
the person who interviewed Maxwell in prison, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Just last year, he was working as Donald Trump's personal lawyer.
So there's obviously a conflict of interest there.
Well, let's be honest. He was losing a case that actually ended in Donald Trump being a 34-time convicted felon. I mean, if we're going to, let's just be honest about who Todd Blanche is. And that is the guy who lost the case that got Donald Trump the title of 34-time convicted felon.
He's meeting with Ghislaine. So one wonders what kind of messages are being relayed back and forth.
This case has been mishandled both in terms of the legal process, public relations, but also politically. There is the perception that high-level political officials, both in this administration and previous administrations, rub shoulders with Jeffrey Epstein.
There's little sign that the Epstein story is going away, even if the White House wants it to, because now Congress is involved. The House Oversight Committee has voted to subpoena the Justice Department for its files on Epstein, with even some Republicans joining the Democrats in demanding
one more
those documents.
seat, guys.
And the first
One
of
more
those files
vote.
are going to be given to the committee on the 22nd of August. They've also called on a number of high-profile political figures to testify. Former President Bill Clinton, a repeat flyer on Epstein's plane, as well as his wife, Senator Hillary Clinton, have both been subpoenaed. The question is, will any of these actions be enough to make the story go away?
I don't think the Jeffrey Epstein case is going to go away.
That's the
anytime
question.
soon.
A lot of these questions probably won't be answered, at least for decades. Maybe this is a JFK assassination situation where everyone involved has to be dead before we'll find out the truth.
Now, we put all of our findings to the Department of Justice and asked them to respond, but they didn't get back to us.
Yeah, they're not
They
gonna.
promised they'd reveal something
Yeah,
new,
they're not gonna.
but people are still demanding the release of the files. They promised transparency, but we've shown that what they've provided this year is conflicting and confusing information, mismatch of data and promises. This could roll on for months, maybe years more, with no guarantees that any of the questions being asked by Trump's critics, government skeptics, and most importantly, Epstein's victims, will ever be answered.
And I understand, guys. I know this gets tiresome. I know that a lot of you guys are like, why do we keep doing this? Because this isn't about entertainment. And I know that's why we're here. I get that's why people are on YouTube. But I've said this a bunch of times about me, and maybe you understand this, maybe you don't. I'm not here at this point in this administration to just be entertaining. I'm here to say these are things that we should not stop talking about. These are things that we need to continue to remind people. We can't let this shit go. And I know that sometimes you're saying to yourself, but man, we've talked about it so much. Man, they're never gonna do anything about this. The point is not that I think that I'm going to wake up MAGA to what's going on. The point is to keep this shit rolling for the next year and a half, to get to the midterms, to win the House, to win the Senate, and to impeach Donald Trump's ass, and to release the files and get justice for the victims. So I recognize that sometimes people are like, why do we have to keep going over this? Because we need to continue to talk about it. Because those people, those women, deserve us doing that. And, we're talking about a little bit about the Charlie Kirk thing, right? YouTube content creation is going down the same route that news media already has. And that is, they're concerned that they can't keep people on the hook to watch their videos, to click, to hit the like button if they don't stick with the times. Like right now, I'm sure a bunch of you are like, man, why aren't we talking about the Charlie Kirk thing, man? That's what's hot. That's what's hip. That's what we should be doing. Why aren't we doing that right now? Because to be honest with you, it's not what's important. It's not. It's a distraction. We need to keep talking about the things that are important, that are actually happening in this administration, and not just be reality TV gluttons. Not just sucking on the teat of fucking capitalism. Like, I just want to play more and more into this Jerry Springer society that we're creating. It's very important that people acknowledge what has happened to these women. It ain't about me. It ain't about you. It ain't about entertainment or anything fucking else. It's about justice for victims that have been assaulted by people that have been doing this for millennia and putting a fucking stop to it. So I get it. It's not the most entertaining thing. Really shouldn't be, to be honest with you, because the news The news ain't supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be news. And if we continue to go down this route of playing into this shit, you're just going to have CNN part 2. You're going to have Fox News part, like, Trey, actually, because they've already got, like, part 2 all over the place. Like, really, that's all, like, YouTube and all this other Instagram, TikTok, all that shit. All it's doing is you're just continuing to spread that legacy media, the CNN mentality of if it bleeds, it leads, further and further into our society, and it's making it worse and worse. Our society, that is. So we're gonna keep talking about it. This is legit bad reality TV. Sorry, Manny. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. All right. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I'm not even saying that it is actually one. I'm just saying don't let it be appropriated as one, right? Like, I'm not even up here trying to get you guys on some conspiracy shit. I'm trying to get you guys on the, like, don't let shit distract you shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's just like, yeah, exactly. You got to have priorities. You can still have values. You can still care about things. I'm not telling you not to. But you need to have priorities. Here you go. Right there. Yep. Because here you go. You know what somebody like Charlie Kirk would have done? He would have played into this shit, and then he would have went on to the things that he wants to keep doing. Like the other side, they're gonna win at this if we keep that shit up. No, we gotta present a solid front, and we gotta stay on task, stay on point. So here's some stuff that probably you guys might know about, might not know about. Let's talk about the farmers real quick. So this is really important, and this is within my wheelhouse because I do know quite a bit about the current situation economically and specifically in the grocery world. So we're going to talk about the farmer situation. We're going to talk about farmer says we're in a very dire situation ahead of harvest with 0 soybean orders from China, historically the largest buyer. This is a direct effect of Donald Trump's tariff war. China is now choosing to take these orders somewhere else. This is straight up the most fuck around and find out shit that you can really talk about on this show. These are farmers like the ones in Arkansas that 62 to 64% of them voted. I'm talking about all of Arkansas. Probably every one of the farmers voted for Donald Trump. If there is anybody in this country that understands climate change is real, it's farmers. They know, but they still vote conservative. If there is anybody in this country that is subsidized to the fucking nines, it is farmers. They are the biggest fucking welfare queens in the entire country. And they still vote conservative. At the beginning of this year, we saw countless videos of people that were farmers that were getting subsidized to have new irrigation put in because it was better for the environment, that lost every one of those contracts and lost their farms because of it. And they all voted for conservatives. This is literally some cut your nose off to spite your face shit. Caleb Ragland, a Kentucky farmer and president of the American Soybean Association, is warning of an agricultural crisis as China has placed 0 soybean orders for the upcoming harvest. It's a departure from typical patterns where 25% of the U.S. crop goes to China. And 25% is a lot, by the way. We're going to get to that. With prices 40% below 3-year highs and production costs rising, hundreds of thousands of farmers face losses unless there's a trade resolution between the two countries. It's not coming. It's not going to happen. American soybean farmers are heading into harvest season without a single order from China, historically their largest customer, raising alarm bells about the agricultural sector's stability and broader implications for the U.S. economy. Caleb Ragland, president of the American Soybean Association and a ninth-generation farmer from Kentucky, issued a stark warning about the crisis facing the nation's 500,000 soybean growers. I'm going to say that one more time. 500,000 soybean growers. Right now, we're in a very dire situation, Ragland said in a TikTok video that has drawn national attention to farmers' plight. Right now, in Kentucky, they have a bourbon situation where I think they believe something like 500 companies are going to go bankrupt in the next 2 years. You have 500,000 soybean growers in the nation that are facing zero orders from a place that takes 25% of all of their orders. The economy is going in the completely wrong direction. Unemployment numbers, 900,000 less jobs. Ticking up to 4.3, and that's just the beginning. Over the next year to 2 years, I guarantee you that we are going to see unemployment numbers of between 5 and 7% easy. Even Trump's own people, Stephen Moran, who he wants to replace Jerome Powell in May in the Fed, have said there's going to be pain. Not for them, but for you. Even Stephen Moran has said we are going to see at least a 1-point tick in the inflation numbers. CPI at this point has gone up every single month of this year. To put that into layman's terms, you are paying way more fucking money for your groceries. There is screwworm in the cattle in Texas right now, and we already have drought issues with cattle. We already have production issues with cattle. The price of steaks is going to go up even further. The price of ground beef is going to go up even further. At one point or another, the other shoe is going to drop. And this economy is going to fucking flatline. We're not going to go into a Great Depression, but we are going to go into a stagflation. And we are going to go into a light recession if we're lucky, and a real recession if we're unlucky. And if the AI bubble pops, we may see one of the hardest fucking times that we have seen in almost 100 years in this country, and people are distracted. This is not a problem with a person that's just, they're doing things and they have an idea and it's going to all turn out well in the end. This is dumb. The way that we are doing things is stupid, and it is going to end poorly if we don't, in 2026, get our shit together and get candidates in place to impeach Donald J. Trump. In a separate CNN interview, Ragland emphasized the scale of China's importance to American agriculture. China takes more of our soybeans than all other foreign customers combined. He said, noting that 50% of U.S. soybeans are exported and China represents a quarter of total demand. The absence of Chinese orders represents a dramatic departure from normal trading patterns. China typically accounted for over 25% of total U.S. soybean purchases, with roughly 1/3 of annual sales to the country normally booked by this point in the season. 1/3 normally booked by now, 0 orders right now. This translates to approximately 8 to 9% of the entire U.S. crop that would typically be sold to China by now currently sitting at 0. Farmers are facing an immediate financial crisis. The trade dispute has pushed already struggling farmers to the brink. This is at this point. We haven't even gotten to the selling of the soybeans. They're already financially destitute. They believe 30% of those Arkansas farmers will be bankrupt and lose their farm by next year. This is insane. The trade dispute has pushed already struggling farmers to the brink. Ragland told CNN that soybean prices have fallen 40% from their levels 3 years ago, while production costs and interest rates have risen. We're looking at basically losses for the upcoming year if commodity prices don't improve, which is going to result in more government subsidy. Current soybean future prices reflect the uncertainty, trading around $10.10 per bushel for September contracts, well below the estimated production costs of approximately $11.03 per bushel. Ragland's only farm is currently generating $750,000 in losses, forcing him to rely on loans to bridge the financial gap. What happens when people default on loans? 2008, anybody? Anybody know what happens when people default on loans? Right now, we're planting a crop that looks like it will be produced at a loss. By fall, when the soybeans are harvested and ready to sell, we're going to need a drastic improvement in our markets, or it's going to get even tougher for farm families all across this country. And here's the thing. I'm just going to tell you guys this. Here's the thing about this. Donald Trump told them this. Donald Trump has said, big farms do it better. Corporate farms do it better. Small farms are not efficient. That's what he said. And these people still voted for Donald Trump. I'm not saying this as a ha-ha, this happened to you. I'm saying this as in people need to know what is going on so they can speak to what is happening. And when we talk to people, and let's say you have a friend that's a farmer, and he says, well, you know, guys, I didn't want my grandkids to be groomed by the transgenders. You need to know how to talk to that person and tell them how full of shit they are. And then you need to know how to follow that up with saying, how is your farm doing? Do you know why your farm's not doing well? Do you know that this administration has no plans to make this better for you? Do you know that Donald Trump actually thinks that your farms are a waste of time and money? In fact, Donald Trump thinks you, the farmer, the owner of this farm, should instead be spending your time working on big corporate farms because he thinks they're better. This is why we talk about these things. This is why we have to know about these things. So let's talk about this that's going on, because this is actually going to be important to every single one of us, considering what our friend Benjamin Dixon was talking about earlier. So when you have people going online and commenting about stuff, like I'm well aware. Somebody asked me a bit ago, they said, aren't you scared? Aren't you worried? Like right now as a content creator, aren't you scared? Like that, you know, and this was long before what happened to Charlie Kirk. Aren't you scared that, like, you know, the Trump administration will throw you in a cell or something like that? Like, of course. But I'm here and I'm doing the thing because it's necessary, right? We put ourselves out there at the risk that we are going to have some consequences or repercussions for these actions because it's important to us, at least to some of us. And we do that willingly because it's important. Like I said, most of us. But for all of you guys that are out there commenting on posts, social media, local stuff, things are getting sketchy for you guys now. And this is important. This is 1984 shit. This is Big Brother. ICE uses phony cell towers to spy on American phones. President Donald Trump's administration has reinstated a program from the first presidency to trick cell phones into connecting to fake towers run by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to target immigrants. The problem, I would say that's the problem, but they say, the problem, however, is that data from Americans is getting scooped up in the process, according to privacy advocates. Edward Snowden, anybody? Edward Snowden, anybody? This is where we have to remember that MAGA isn't going to stand up with this. This is their hypocrisy. They were free Edward Snowden people 6 months ago, and now they're getting your information stolen from you is actually just part of being a good nationalist people now. We all know what happened with the Patriot Act. We all know what the government said they were going to do, and then what was disclosed that they did, right? We're only going after the terrorists. You don't have to worry about it. Bullshit. Bullshit. They are now claiming you don't have to worry about it. We're only trying to get the immigrants, the bad ones, the bad hombres. Bullshit. They are taking your information that you are using on your cell phones, and it gets a lot worse than this, actually. And we're going to get to that. Forbes cited on Tuesday that ICE purchased nearly $1 million worth of cell site simulator vehicles in May this year. At the same time, ICE also has a contract worth as much as $4.4 million with Stingray manufacturer Harris Corporation to use its equipment to determine the location of targeted mobile handsets. In other words, they can find where you are based off your location on your cell phone. It was tipped off with the unsealing of a search warrant that was part of ICE's attempts to find an individual in Orem, Utah from Venezuela. Wow, that's kind of weird. Oh, fucking how weird is that? You guys know that's where Charlie Kirk was shot yesterday. Let me read that one more time. I did not read this article. Let me read that one more time. It was tipped off with the unsealing of a search warrant that was part of ICE's attempts to find an individual in Orem, Utah from Venezuela. That was yesterday. Charlie Kirk in Orem, Utah. That's weird. I'm becoming more of a conspiracy theorist every time I get on this fucking channel. All right. The warrant alleges that the man was in prison there for murder and is now suspected of participating in gang activity there. When did this fucking article come out? Day before yesterday. Day before yesterday. When the government got the target's number, they first got a warrant to get its location, the report explained. However, the trace wasn't precise. It only told law enforcement that the target was somewhere in an area covering about 30 blocks. That led them to ask the court for a Stingray-type device to get an accurate location. The ACLU has attacked these kinds of systems, saying that in the process of gathering data from the target, Stingray devices are used in the process they ensnare bystanders' phones, as well as raising serious privacy concerns. The Detroit News discovered unsealed documents in 2017 that requested the search warrants to use the device to find a particular person from El Salvador. The ACLU noted search warrants are generally available only in criminal investigations, and here the government alleged that the immigrant was wanted for the crime of unlawfully re-entering the country after being deported. Once again, 2017. That is Donald Trump again. At that time, the ACLU was concerned that ICE was also using Stingrays for civil immigration enforcement operations. Forbes didn't clarify whether the warrant for the Venezuelan man in Utah was for civil enforcement or if another criminal investigation was involved. We would like to know that now. I would like to know that now. Both deals were also under the Biden administration. Trump used the programs as part of his operation to deport 3.13 million people. Despite allegations of an open border, Biden's administration deported more people than Trump, 4.4 million. Which just brings to fucking, once again, say, if the Biden administration was already doing things to deport these people, why was it necessary for Trump to run on the fear, hatred, anger campaign that he ran? And we know why. We know why, because that's how you control people, specifically these people. The idea that Biden was just allowing people to run rampant in the country while asking James Langford, a fucking Republican, to create a bill for the border is insane. They created that bill because Joe Biden was like, all right, you guys, there you go. I'm giving everybody the Donald Trump voice. I got to stop. Here you guys go. Here you go. All right, man. Come on, man. That's my best Joe Biden. Sorry, guys. So we're going to go a little bit further, and we're getting towards the end of the show, and I want to watch this video before we go, because this goes along with that. Some of you guys know who Mudahar is. And yes, I know, I'm sure somebody is like, I fucking hate that guy because... Okay, guys, suspend your hate for whichever content creator we're about to watch. We're watching it for information. I need you guys to suspend the hate for whichever creator that you currently are upset with long enough for us to watch this video. This is Some Ordinary Gamers, which is Mudahar, who talks about different malware and shit like that. He also talks about video games and other shit too. But this is a video about the feds just bought malware to hack your phone silently. And this is what we're talking about, right? So we're going to let him explain it because he knows more about this subject than I do. Maybe, hopefully, he can also get into, why this shit happened to happen in the same place that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I don't know. Maybe he'll talk about it. All right, here we go.
Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mutahar, and no laughing, no perky start to the video. I just want to kind of get into the real grim reality. I want to rip the Band-Aid off real quick. Now, if you want the ADHD, like you want the quick TLDR YouTube Shorts version, please run lockdown mode on your iPhone. Go into the settings, enable that, probably have it running, get used to it. Or if you're on Android, go to Advanced Protection, just look for it in the settings, enable it. Or go into my previous videos, install Graphene OS if you have a compatible Android smartphone, right? Or maybe get a burner phone and apply all the protections you can. Because the reason why we're talking about this today is the government of the United States has just restarted a $2 million contract.
Just so you know, this is actually a different company that's hacking your phones. I knew it, Manny. I knew somebody was going to be upset. Literally, I don't know everything, so therefore I cannot speak to every fucking thing that happens. I need other people, and if I brought these fucking people actually on the show, you guys would fucking crucify me. So we gotta watch the video. That's the way it is.
With a company called Paragon Solutions that apparently claims they can hack any cell phone out in the world, okay? So this is a pretty spooky thing. And the reason why it's spooky is it almost feels kind of like, bypassing the whole warrant bullshit, that all these agencies have to respond with. Now, I've talked a lot about like the
Whoa. We don't talk about our Canadian brethren like that, Manny. We're gonna have to probably ask for these our Canadian friends to take us in. Manny, you may have a problem with him, but we need to prioritize here, bud. We need to start really licking those boots of the Canadians. We need to start getting some really high class maple syrup together, some good hockey. Is this racist? Can you be racist against Canadians? If I'm being racist right now against you, I am really sorry. Okay, I apologize profusely. And anything Manny says, I do not support.
Agencies and them.
Do you guys remember when fucking MAGA was like super worried about the government getting into your shit? What happened to that? Where did that go?
Using computer malware to spy on users, right? The FBI has basically made it an art form. And of course, in times, a lot of these three-letter agencies, like the FBI, will sometimes break the law.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's an A's hat he's wearing, Manny, so I'm going to give him a pass on any shilling he's ever done in his life. If he's an A's fan, I'm going to let it go.
By distributing CP on the dark web just so they can build a honeypot. Sometimes they absolutely commit the crime in order to arrest people down the road. Now, whatever your view is on this, I don't really give a shit. What I give a shit about is, again, people's right to privacy and safety. Now, I don't think criminals should be getting access to your phones, and I don't think government should be getting access to your phones.
I agree with that
at all. Unless they go to a fucking court, they get a goddamn warrant, and they come to you. All right? It's crazy. As a Canadian, I look at the unlawful search and seizure clause more seriously than I think some of the actual people living in one of the best countries in the world, okay? At least
I appreciate that you say that, but we're losing our luster. And I think a big part of that is you just made a serious mistake there, Mr. Mutahar, and you said the words read. Reading not real big in the country currently, and also hasn't been for a really long time, to be honest with you. I would establish that most likely that is probably why we are in the position that we are right now.
In my opinion, when I look at the United States, I think back in 1776, they were cooking with the Constitution. They were cooking with the framework of one of the best countries in the world. Now, to give you an idea of what Paragon Solutions is, I went to their website, and their website is literally this bare bones, okay? Empowering ethical cyber defense, disrupting intractable threats with innovation. So they got this cute little lighthouse. You go down.
That is the most word salad fucking thing I've ever heard. Disrupting intractable threats with innovation. That's like some new age bullshit generator website language. What the fuck?
They're like, Paragon Solutions US provides our customers with ethically based tools, teams, and insights to disrupt intractable threats. We provide cyber and forensic capabilities. So one thing on their site that they're not telling you is that Paragon Solutions is in fact a Israeli-founded spyware company. Now, Israel has such a interesting history when it comes to cybersecurity and how much they get contracted out to break into your personal cell phones, okay? It's crazy shit. Back in, I believe, 2015, when it came to the San Bernardino shooting, one of the most interesting cases came from Apple versus the FBI. So,
is he about to explain the one where they couldn't get into the phone and Apple refused to let them? Is that the case?
Apple, being the creator of the iPhone, right? The FBI actually asked Apple if they could design a sort of special operating system that could bypass and basically grab encrypted data off of a smartphone. Apple at the time said, we don't really have the ability to look into somebody's encrypted phone. And when they were asked by the FBI, basically soft forced, Apple was like, no, we're going to take this shit to court because we don't want to be breaking into people's phones. They considered it at the time on...
Oh, God, it was a different time. God, it was a different time, guys. We need to go back. we need to make America great again. Fuck. We've come full circle.
Lawful and unconstitutional. And it would argue that if the FBI was given such a crazy operating system to break the encryption on a phone, it would undermine the security of every device and set a dangerous precedent for future cases. Now, regardless of what your thoughts are on Apple or whatever, I definitely can say Apple has a history for fighting for its user base, especially when it comes to privacy and their security. And that is pretty fucking commendable. For a long time, I actually did like using an iPhone because out of the box, I felt that the privacy was sufficient on it. Now, this whole saga didn't end because Apple didn't comply. What the FBI did was they went to this Israeli company called Celebrite, who basically bills itself as like...
You don't say. You don't say.
You know, a cybersecurity company that, gives tools to access, devices, to, help law enforcement agencies get their evidence really quickly, okay?
Guys, I kind of feel like Israel and USA we're like in a mommy-daddy situation right now. Like, it's like if dad says no, you can try to go to mom, but she's probably going to say no also, and then dad's going to break into your phone. I don't know how I got there, but I just got there.
Ultimately, they are breaking into your phone to grab information. Now, one of the reasons why it makes this situation so freaky is that Paragon is a company that it's almost
go get your mail, Manny.
Get information out of them. But of course, according to some of these actual articles,
neon death.
Basically, they drew all the attention because they claimed that it gave police the power to remotely break into all the encrypted messaging applications. So things like WhatsApp, things like Signal, things like Facebook Messenger or Gmail. I'm pretty sure
Isn't that the whole point of having those? It claims to give the police power to remotely break into encrypted instant messaging communications like WhatsApp, Signal, Facebook Messenger, or Gmail. Isn't the whole point of having WhatsApp or Signal to make it so people can't break into your shit? Why the fuck do we even have Signal or WhatsApp then? Oh, we are so cooked.
WhatsApp, things like Signal, things like Facebook Messenger or Gmail. I'm pretty sure if you're in Europe or you're outside America, you probably have WhatsApp installed on your phone. I know I use Signal to communicate with a lot of my friends. And the fact that this company says they can hack into it is a little bit more complicated. They're not actually hacking these applications, from my understanding, directly. They're actually running malware that is zero-click. So again, what's really freaky about this, and this comes from the Monk School, the University of Toronto, God bless, introducing, the Paragon software, for instance. In their investigation, they found that Paragon was involved with possibly working with the Canadian Ontario Provincial Police, so Great to see law enforcement officers just bypassing the whole warrant thing and working directly with computer viruses just to breach into our personal like messaging, right? Just to get into our personal communication. It used to be that you had to go and get a fucking court order to get a wiretap on somebody. Now they can just infect you with malware. Crazy shit. So of course, the other situation that also came out to it is when it came to individuals in Italy. It came out that there was indications that spyware was loaded onto WhatsApp, as well as other applications on devices. And in some cases, the people that they were targeting were individuals.
Wait, the apps we're downloading to avoid the shit is giving us the shit? I just think maybe I'm going to be a Luddite. I think maybe... Well, I don't really even use my phone. What am I talking about? This is for you guys.
Individuals that were journalists, people that, really, really need things like the dark web and Signal in order to communicate, sensitive shit to people. It's crazy. So, and according to one of their cases, they looked at an Apple device that belonged to a prominent European journalist who requested that they wanted to be anonymous over here. Obviously, because if you're being targeted like this...
good luck being anonymous when they can just hack your phone and see the shit that you say. But okay, I mean, you can ask for it, though.
You probably just want to be completely off the radar at this point. But they provided their device, donated it graciously in order for this forensic team to investigate the stuff. So what they showed over here was they identified an iMessage account present in the device logs at the same time that the phone was communicating with an identified server from Paragon, 46.183.184.91, which is the IP address. So based on their analysis, they concluded that this was used to deploy their graphite spyware. So the way that this malware works is it's something we call a zero-click. Now the way a zero-click malware works is you don't have to actually interact with the message in order to have the malware run. So for instance, when you get a phishing email or when you get something crazy like a PDF file that somebody wants you to like run and install, what's usually happening is
YouTube has ruined me. Now when I hear PDF file, I immediately think Epstein's client list. I think he means actually just a PDF file.
The email, you click on the PDF file, and you basically then launch whatever program, or you start parsing that information, and attached to that PDF file is a payload. Now, I've shown you how to do this with like Discord malware. Like imagine if somebody sends you a game to install and play around with, but that game contains a like remote access Trojan. Somebody then has access to your computer. They can look through your webcams. They can keylog you.
Ooh, they don't want to look through my webcams.
They can grab information and send it back. So sensitive information like passwords, credit cards, just anything sensitive that you can imagine. Or basically pilfer through your files and grab things that may be too personal for you, right? There's a lot of bad things that can happen if you just run shady stuff on the internet, which is, again, a place where I constantly say have common sense. But a zero-click malware is, as the name implies. Basically, when you get sent an email, or in this case, a message to your iPhone, in the background, without you even opening a text message, the iPhone will process information. So in this case, in this specific attack, what would happen was the iPhone would be parsing images in the background. Now, because the image contained malware, then what would happen is it would launch the malware, it would go through all of the fucking payloads, and next thing you know, somebody's iPhone gets hacked. So
okay, wait a minute. So it's like if somebody sends you a message, even if you don't open it, like while your phone's sitting there, your phone's getting the malware.
Your device is hacked, it doesn't matter what applications you use. Because when they hack your phone, they can keylog you, they can do whatever it is they want, and then get that data out and then do whatever nefarious thing they want to do with it. That's how a zero-click works, and it's similar to how it would work on Android devices.
Dude. Okay, so if these people can do it, I mean, how long until like other people can do this shit? Like just hackers. I mean, if government hackers can do this shit, eventually regular hackers are going to do this shit. I think maybe I just need to get off the internet completely.
So, if you want to protect yourself right now, remember, this is malware, but it's not spooky black magic. It's a computer virus that they're launching against you. Use things like lockdown mode. Apple, because of this situation, implemented a mode on their iPhone where you could lock down the system to a point where a lot of these...
Fuck, I use Android.
A lot of these like vectors that these fucking companies would use to attack you get automatically disabled, right? And it's important for journalists, it's important for like government leaders, it should just be important for anybody that doesn't want to be fucking spied on. Because when ICE buys this malware, I can imagine what they're probably going to use it for, which is to identify and infiltrate chat networks for people that they want to go after. Now, you might be like, but Muda, aren't you protecting criminals or bad people by doing this? I don't give a fuck what this justification is. I don't think...
Yeah, because we just saw the justification in the article, right? They justify it by saying, oh, we're going after immigrants. Just like with the Patriot Act, it was, oh, we're going after terrorists. Like, every one of these things in some way is justified, just like the deporting of immigrants right now through ICE. Oh, we're deporting the bad ones. Like, at what point has the government actually just stuck to doing what they said that they were doing for the justification of whatever they are doing? Riddle me that, fucking Batman. It seems like the majority of the time, more people get caught up that weren't supposed to be caught up than the people that were actually supposed to be caught up.
Should throw the baby out with the bathwater. When I see illegal surveillance, in my opinion, on people done with malware launched against people's devices to read their messages, I don't give a fuck what the government wants to or doesn't want to do. To me, that sounds like Nazi fucking Germany. That sounds like the Gestapo. That sounds like the secret police using
it's high-tech Nazi, actually. High-tech Nazi Germany.
powers to basically spy on users. No, I think the government can absolutely go against criminal entities with the budget that they are given, and it doesn't have to involve in taking away the freedoms and liberties that people are slowly taking for granted, okay? That's just my honest to God...
Yeah, what was that quote? That quote's like, a man will give away any freedoms as long as he's given the necessary justification to give them away. Like, it's something like that, where it's like, if you can just find the reason that people are fearful, then you can convince them to give up pretty much any freedom. And that's literally what we're living with right now. I mean, and then you've got, weirdos like fucking Peter Thiel and Mark Andreessen and Zuckerberg and Bezos. And every one of these people want to be in control of your life. Not like the conspiracy theorists, like, completely like control everything. Just to fucking be able to make sure you don't get certain things or you don't get to benefit in certain places. Like, if they can get into your phone, if the government can get into your phone, it's eventually going to make its way to these tech oligarchs and these freedom cities.
Take on that. And if you disagree with me there, then, there's a fucking big red X button at the top right of this window. You can click that and go do your own thing. It is that simple. I'm sorry if I sound overly passionate about this.
I like
it's just
it.
Something
I like
that
that.
I feel is disgusting and it needs to be called out. And it's one of those things where, like, I don't see many people talking about it because I guess it's too technical. I guess many people don't understand. But this is the government buying malware that they are most likely going to be using against the civilian population en masse. Without fucking warrants, it seems. It's crazy. And again, legally speaking, organizations like the EFF brought up something that was a little bit mind-blowing to me. The U.S. was originally buying this, like in the last administration, but they didn't because there was actually an executive order passed that prevented this kind of stuff from happening. So Executive Order 14093, which is prohibiting the use of the U.S. government for commercial spyware that poses risks to national security.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't think about that. So if they're using it to get into your phone, there's a potential that it like gets into our like national security shit. What are we doing? And that was an executive order from Biden saying not to do it? Did Biden, good job, Biden. Solid job, Biden.
So this is a executive order, and I don't know if it's an active executive order. I'm sure a lawyer
Probably not anymore.
or the LawTube can probably
Not
correct me on
anymore.
that. I think that I think an EO does it. I think maybe an executive order has like a time or statute to operate under. But the idea
It can be
is
rolled
basically
back.
this was prevented because a commercial spyware may pose counterintelligence or security risks to the U.S. government when a foreign government, in this case Israel, or a foreign person has used or acquired
This is what happened!
spyware to gain access.
Bro, did Donald Trump give the entire government malware and now Israel is in charge of America? Is that what happened? Does Israel have like all of our shit now? Because Donald Trump was like, we're going to use we're going to use the Paragon software. It's going to go into everybody else's stuff. Not Pete Hegseth, because, he'll give it to everybody else. Did he fuck up? Is that what's going on?
It's the U.S. government computers, right? And yada, yada, yada. You can read the whole executive order summary for yourself, but this wasn't a silver bullet, but it was probably the strongest protection people had
It's gone
against
now,
a
huh?
foreign country.
He's going to say it's gone now.
country like Israel,
He's
who
gonna
has
say
no
it's
right
gone
to be
now.
selling software that can be used against
Oh,
another
no.
country's citizens. It's just fucking insane that this is the world we're in. I made videos where I taught you guys how to use PGP not even a few weeks ago. During the Battlefield 6 betas, while we were playing it, I made a video about using PGP, Cleopatra, to make your own keys and start exchanging messages in PGP. And it's not a perfect solution, but given the fact that now the government is buying malware to hack your phones, start using shit like PGP. Start using lockdown mode. Start using advanced data protections. Now, obviously,
Good
look,
God.
I am not going to jump into the argument of
This is what I was talking about.
Stuff. Again, I don't really jump into the political side of stuff that
This is
much.
what I was talking about.
You can watch other content creators for it, but I'm just looking at this from a security privacy perspective. Obviously, with agencies like ICE, and really any U.S. federal agency, but specifically, the reason why I'm worried that a warrant isn't going to be used, or it's going to be, basically like a piece of toilet paper for them, is if you look at just what they've been doing right now, they've been using, again, special technologies like the Stingray, where they've basically been using invasive surveillance devices.
Yep.
Pretty much, as much as they want to. As much as they
used it back in
much as they really intend
2017.
to. And of course, the more you go down into it, they're also purchasing vast amounts of data from again, data brokers, which is its own discussion that I've had. And while I guess this technically wouldn't be illegal, it just shows you that, again, the goal of agencies is to create this dragnet of surveillance where, again, they will use every means possible to constantly spy on individuals. If you think for a minute this malware won't be sent to a group that, an organization like ICE that would consider, like, ICE would send this to, like, groups that they would consider to be, illegals or criminals in their eyes. I mean, it is a broad terminology that I'm assuming that these organizations...
I'm going to go further. Like, they're going to do a lot more than that. They're going to go a lot more. We watched this part, or we talked about this already, so... if you want to watch the rest of the video, check out Mudahar's video on, what is it called? The Feds Just Bought Malware to Hack Your Phone Silently. Mudahar is Some Ordinary Gamers. You can go watch that and check it out. But that was literally what we were just talking about. That is that ICE has the ability to now track people's phones. They can get the Stingray stuff that then allows them to track a person to an individual rather than just to an area. It's, we're getting to a point now where pointing out the hypocrisy of MAGA is just becoming exhausting. These people 6 months ago, 8 months ago, were just complaining about how Biden or Obama or Clinton or the dirty Democrats and their rings of children under pizza basements were going to track you down and use your information and steal your stuff and take control of you. And as seems always the case, once again, it wasn't actually the Democrats, it was the people that they voted for. And it's just like, it's getting to a point where it's insane to even talk about these things over and over and over again, because I feel like a fucking scratch CD up here. It's not broken record anymore, guys. We've moved on from that. It's scratch CD now is what we say. My generation. So one thing about that is, like I said, I recognize that content creation is in some way, shape, or form driven by clicks and views and, what is the hottest, hippest, hypest thing going on. But if you want to watch my show, I'm going to continue talking about things that are important. And they might not be the hottest, hippest, hypest things, but they are important. And you should know about them. And we're going to continue to do that because this isn't about driving clicks and views for me. It's about helping to save this country and to provide a future for the children that people claim that they care about, that, to be honest, they don't seem to actually give two shits about. 3 kids yesterday were put in the hospital. 3 kids by another child with a gun in Evergreen, Colorado. And what people cared about was some celebrity jackass that has been driving hate and vitriol for the past, 12 years, 13 years? That's what he cared about. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Up next is, I believe we have a video for you guys. So you guys go ahead and check that out. And I hope you guys have a good night. And I will be live on Saturday on my channel. All right, guys. Hope you guys have a good night. Have a good weekend.
Now, let's watch this. This is infuriating, but also it's quite funny. We do this in Brooklyn, but by nature it's not advertisable. Yeah, in America you guys actually have laws around it, so you got to be a little bit more on the down low. But like, yeah, good. I'm glad you do it. You guys should implement that everywhere else. This video is infuriating, but it's really important, and it's also like Americans. America is the problem here. All of this is American. Every last bit of it. It's insane.
An offensive from the fringes has been launched against mainstream society.
I'm gonna put these scams